I know this is hard to answer since it hasn't come out yet, but would Obi-Wan be better as a movie or a series? I agree with the decision for a series. I don't know.
I mean, the only real difference between the two is whether or not we're seeing it in the theater. And like, obviously, I would much prefer to see the Clone Wars and the Bad Batch and the Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett and all these things in the theater. Like, every Star Wars is at its core cinematic. That's why sometimes I get annoyed when I'm watching things like Star Wars Resistance or Forces of Destiny, because I'm like, this is not up to the cinematic standard sometimes that I'm used to for everything else. Like Visions was cinematic. Visions, I would love if they do a screening of season 1 of Visions at Star Wars Celebration and it's like a big screen. If I have time, I'd love to go to that and see that stuff with that sound and because I'm sure it would play well. So really, it has nothing to do with the pacing, like whether or not it's a bunch of hour-long episodes or if it's just one big 2 or 3 hour long movie or a series of movies. Like, I don't really care about how they cut it up. It's the presentation that matters, and I feel like everything that's good quality Star Wars does belong in the theater. It's just the world that we live in doesn't make that possible for everything.
Yeah. I'm willing to come back to this question when the show is done. I still don't think it's fair because we can't see what it would have looked like as a movie. But it's an interesting thought experiment.
Yeah.
I'm a movie guy at the end of the day. I'd rather have movies over series. I'd rather have both. But if you gun to the earth made me pick, I would take a movie. But I'm very, very happy with this as a series, and I'm very much looking forward to I guess 5 weeks now of movie quality storytelling on Disney Plus telling this story.
Yeah, I mean, it's a completely different experience, and I have a lot of factors to consider if I had a choice, which I don't.
Right.
But, like, I love the movie-going experience. I love going out with people and watching a movie in a big room on a giant screen and sitting down for 2.5 hours and experiencing something. Like, that's great. But I also love, like, not sitting, I don't love sitting alone in my house watching it, but I love doing that week to week to week and experiencing it all and doing all that. We're kind of getting best of both worlds. At least those of us who are going to Celebration, we're getting the communal experience of getting to see at least the first couple episodes together, hopefully, and then also getting more week to week stuff afterwards. So with Kenobi, it really comes down to, like, how do I enjoy, like, experiencing stories just on a purely emotional level. And like, I want the story to be, as spread out or as neat as it needs to be. I want it to be in this purest form. I think some of the purest stories that have been told on screen recently have been in long form TV formats. So I think I still stand by the idea that, like, I'm glad this is a TV show. And I think if I had a choice, I would still have it this way.
Yeah. And ultimately, sort of the cop-out answer is it always depends on the story. Some things are better suited to a series. Some things are better suited to a movie. Some things are better suited to a novel. Some things are better suited to a comic. Like, all of these mediums in and of themselves one isn't definitively better than the other. It's just, it comes down to personal preference and how well they tell a certain story. So, yeah. Well, it's impossible to truly judge, but we'll have a better sense at the end of June, perhaps.